All right. Today we're going to cover a feature that's built into IntelliCenter called Integration Assistant. What you see on your screen here right now is a typical elevation view from IntelliCenter, software that you get from our low voltage MCC group. So it shows everything about your particular MCC, what's in all the sections. You can see the individual smart devices like this, an E300. As I hover over it, you get information about the device. Um, all of these are connected via Ethernet, typically up to a Compact Logix or a Control-Logix controller. And so to do that, you need to talk to them. They need to be in the I/O tree of the controller. And so what I'm going to show you today is Integration Assistant, which is a feature that's built into IntelliCenter, just comes free of charge with the IntelliCenter software, uh, that quickly and easily allows you to map all these devices into your controller. So to start, to get the process started, you first need to have an application file created in Studio 5000 Logix Designer, which is what I'm showing now. The only requirement is you have to have at least one Ethernet card, because that's how the controller is going to connect to the motor control center, to the switch and all the devices in the motor control center. So you start with a Studio 5000 Logix Designer program file. We've got an Ethernet card in there, and at that point, I can close this file. Actually, I can exit the software. So now we're back in IntelliCenter. We're going to go up to Tools. We're going to go down to Launch Integration Assistant and Logix 5000. So now it's prompting us, okay, where's your Studio 5000 Logix program file? So we're going to browse and go out and pick the one that I just had open and say open and update project. And it's going to take a little while to go through here. What it's doing in the background is it's got a very large data file that came from the low voltage MCC group when the MCC was purchased. And it's got all the information about this particular MCC. So everything about every unit, the wiring diagrams, the elevation drawings, the manuals for any devices that are in there. So it's a pretty large file that it's got to process. It take a little bit to get the processing done on that. So we'll give it a little bit here. And what you're going to see is it's going to come back and give us some options on exactly how we want to bring these devices in. There's a couple different selections that we can go through. So you can see here it went out and it found 3 different motor control centers. I'm just going to pick this first one here. It knows that there's only one network in that MCC. If this MCC was large enough that there was, or split up to the point that there was more than one network, then those would show up here and we'd pick, which network we were going to be connecting to. Down here in this region of the screen, we've got 2 different options on the tag naming convention, how we want those to come in. So the first one here shows this first part of the tag here is from the nameplate data that was entered when the MCC was purchased, and then of course the IP address. The second type that we can select is it gives you the device type. So, right there it says PowerFlex 753. So that would be, one of the drives over here. If it was an E300, that would say E300. To make it a little more useful and use the unit nameplates, I'll pick this one. And we'll say next. And now from that same data file, and from my Studio 5000 Logix Designer file, it knows that in slot 1, I have a EN2TR. And then it knows that in the MCC, it's got all these devices. So if we look at that, we can see there's a bunch of E300s, PowerFlex 523s, 753s, Stratix 5200 switch. So a lot of devices. So at this point, we want to decide, do we want to map them all or just some of them? Typically what you're going to do is you're going to click the double arrow and just map them all because you want to get all of them into your IO tree. So I do that. I say finish. This comes up and says it'll finish it. Are you sure you want to continue? We're going to say yeah. So now it's just confirming the selections that we've made here. So I'm going to say update. We're going to get one last chance to abort the whole process if we wanted to, but we're going to say yes, we want to continue. And so Again, here it's going to take a little bit of time. It's got to process all those and get those brought into the Studio 5000 application. And what's going on in the background, Rockwell has something called add-on profiles. If you're not familiar with those, it's a little piece of software that's created for each of the Rockwell devices that basically, it's like in the old days with DeviceNet, the EDS file, if you're familiar with that. It has all the information about that device. So it knows everything. For instance, on an E300, it knows everything about an E300. It knows all the parameters, the settings. So it's taking that for each device, and that's how it's building and bringing it into the IO tree in Studio 5000. And you'll see once it's all done, it's also going to create the tags for you right in the controller tag database. So we give it a little bit more here to get through the processing of that file. So it's popped up, it's successful, and now it's going to update the project and open Studio 5000. Again, this will take just a little bit to open Studio 5000, Logix Designer. Give it a little bit to open up and show us what it created in the file. So here's Studio 5000. And again, what Integration Assistant did is it just took advantage of those add-on profiles and used them to create and bring everything into the IO tree. So if you remember when I first opened up the Studio 5000 Logix Designer application file, all we had in there was the EN2TR. And now you can see it's populated with all these devices that were in the motor control center or are in the motor control center. So, and again, we did this all offline. We're not physically connected to the controller. This is just using the data file that was provided by the low voltage MCC team when they built the MCC. So if we want to go up and look at the controller tag database, scroll up here, open up controller tags. What you see is it uses for the tags that it creates, it uses that name that we picked in the Integration Assistant selection process. So it uses the first part of the nameplate. So if we want to look at, let's say we want to look at an E300 210 AGT01, I come to 210 AGT01. So here's a couple instances of it. So the first one is a C, that's for configuration. The I is for input. So if I expand that one, you can see all the tags that were created for you to be able to monitor that it's reading from the E300. And if I go look at the O for output, you can see all the points and tags that were created that we can actually write to from the controller. And if I pick a drive, let's pick a PowerFlex 753 310 PPC. So if I go to 310 PPC right here, we've got input. So if I open that up, we can see whether or not the drive's ready, is it active, the direction, is it accelerating, decelerating. You can see all these are just automatically created for you, and you get a status bit with each one of them. And if I go look at the O for output, we can see all the tags that are created for me to write to the drive. So I can stop, start, jog, tell it to forward or reverse, change the Excel time. All these things are just automatically created for me when it was dropped in. And again, these all come from the add-on profile that Rockwell's utilizing in the background. So as you can see, if you have several devices and you have in a low voltage MCC and you have IntelliCenter software, Integration Assistant can actually save you a whole bunch of time in the import and creation of the devices in your IO tree, and it also creates the controller tags for you at the same time. And with that, I thank you for watching the video.